Hello, everybody. Welcome to the UUR. I am your host, Rodnesha Green. I'm here with my co-host, Callie Thomas.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys. All right, we are back for more discussion. And as we mentioned, if you listened in the last episode, maybe you didn't, maybe you're new, maybe it's your first time. If it is, welcome, welcome. But if you've been with us for a bit, you know we're on a journey right now. We're taking a little bit of a tangent away from Severance. Mostly because there's not a lot else for us to say.
We've said a lot about Severance.
Callie, people are still asking me about it and they're like, well, can't you break down this and can't you break... I was like, we have broken down, I feel like, as much as can be broken down.
Right.
As some of you may or may not know, we are typically a Severance podcast. We are currently moving away from the severed floor and into other spaces, hence our discussion today, and we'll get into that. But yeah, we have dug, we have combed, we have divided, and we have conquered. And this show doesn't come back until 2027. So there's only so much, you know?
Right.
There's only so much.
Listen, if we can get some more interviews, we will definitely do them.
That's also true.
Those will come here and there, but it won't be like a regular thing.
Exactly. So yeah, that'll be when it will be. But in the meantime, we are going to pivot. For all of my friends, fans. Pivot! We know how to roll with things. So we decided, let's see where else our interest lies. You guys, we are covering Wonder Man.
And we didn't know this when we chose to cover Wonder Man, but Severance exists in the Wonder Man universe.
Wait.
It comes up. We will talk about it when it comes.
You're right. It did.
I was like, oh, boom. There you go. It's related.
It is related. It all connects, people. It always comes back around. Okay. We know how to choose, even though we didn't at all know that would be in any way a part of the equation. But yeah, Severance is officially in the MCU as far as this show is concerned.
It is. There you go.
That's kind of fun. And yeah, we will talk about it more when we get to it. So anything going on in your world, Cal, before we jump into this pretty fun show? No?
I don't know. Lack of sleep. That's all I can add. I don't really know. What about you?
Oh, there's not a ton going on with me, but I did join a new gym and I do love it quite a lot. I decided to go a little more like small boutique gym instead of, the chain big gym format. I decided to invest in myself, and I am investing. It is not cheap. It's not Equinox expensive, but it's not LA Fitness. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So I made that choice for myself. I said, you know what? You keep talking about how you want to get in shape and you need to do all these things and you have all these excuses and reasons why you can't get to the gym and blah, 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 blah. Make it easier for yourself. Give yourself less reasons to say no. Now, I had to take a long time to say yes to that price tag, but when I finally did, I do think it's worth it. This week I didn't go 5 days a week, but last week I did, and the week before. So I'm like actually being consistent.
Wow.
We have some good diverse classes that we can take part in. The main reason why I joined this gym is because I am a Pilates girly. I may not look it, but I am. But I do love Pilates and I love the Reformer. But if anyone knows anything about Reformer Pilates, it ain't cheap. Part of the reason why I said yes to this gym membership is because they do offer Reformer Pilates classes as part of their gym membership. And the price it would cost me to join the gym and get access to Reformer classes was still cheaper than if I had joined a Reformer Pilates studio and only got like 4 classes a month.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've gotten to do some Reformer classes. I also found a boxing class that I'm really into. I did some ballet bar classes. We've done some HIIT classes. We've just been trying out a bunch of stuff to see what sticks. But yeah, I like it. So let's just hope that we stick with it and we see some results and we feel some results. Because you guys, it's not easy being a millennial who looks like she's still in her 20s and feels like she's in her 60s and believes that she is firmly in her late 20s in an age she ain't. We're just trying to feel all right in our own body. Yeah, so that's all that's new with me. That's what's going on there.
You're like, that's what's new.
All right, guys. Well, now that we have gotten past some formalities and some wardrobe changes, we're ready to move forward. Guys, we are here to talk about the new Marvel series, Wonder Man.
Woohoo!
both Callie and I were very curious about this. We didn't know a lot about the character of Wonder Man. We're not comic book girlies, or at least I'll speak for myself. I'm not a comic book girly. I'm not savvy in that way. Most of what I know is hearsay or what people have told me. So I knew about the show. This, honestly, Wonder Man was shot years ago. I think maybe in like
2023.
Okay, I was gonna say 22. Yeah, and has been on the shelf for a bit. It looked like it was going to go the way of some other Marvel projects that got the axe unnecessarily. So I knew they finally decided to release it, but then they released it in bulk. And I was kind of like, oh, I want this to be good. I don't know if it will be. So Callie and I decided, like, hey, we'll check it out. If it seems like it's worth talking about, we'll bring it to the pod. If it doesn't, we'll just act like we never knew it. So if we're here talking about it, then must be good. Do you have any introductory thoughts, Callie?
Kind of similar to what you said already. I just want to add the disclaimer because MCU fans and Marvel comic book universe fans,
let's talk about it. Yeah,
can be a bit much. So I just want to make it clear. We both are moviegoers who are fans of the MCU as viewers. I did read comics growing up, but MCU and Marvel television has long gone past the characters that I watched.
Right.
I read. So I, much like with Severance and with, the other things that we have covered, I just watch and I connect things. And if you tell me, sure. And Rodnesha is more of the digger and, likes to read the theories and the things. So our knowledge is coming from that. If we get something wrong, don't come for us.
Yeah.
If you want experts, this is not the one for you. If you want to hear and you want to add some tidbits, we'd love to know. We'd love to know. If you say, actually, this is connected to XYZ to XYZ, we love to know. But if you're coming to yell at us for being wrong, go away. Okay? Okay.
That's a great disclaimer. Yeah, no, we don't need any of that energy in the year of our Lord 2026. We don't need that kind of energy.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, we do not.
Also, it's Black History Month, so go away.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into it. We're going to go through the episodes. We're going to do them in 2-episode chunks. Since they did roll out all of it at one time, we felt like 2 episodes. It's about the approximate length of a normal Severance episode. So should give us enough room to play and discuss and have banter. So we will be doing episodes 1 and 2 of Wonder Man today, and then so on and so forth. You guys know how to count. Let's get into it.
Sure.
I think we're ready. Yeah, let's move forward.
Yeah. Funny tidbit. So the first episode is called Matinee. We're doing Matinee and Self-Tape. And when I was writing notes, I had a dyslexic moment and I was like, Manatee? Why didn't I realize this episode was called Manatee? And these notes said Manatee for a time. And then was looking up cast details and realized that it said Matinee. And I was like, that makes so much more sense. I was like, Manatee? I need to rewatch the first episode. Why is Manatee the name of the episode?
Is that symbolic?
Oh, yeah. No, Matinee.
I kind of wish it was Manatee now. Just all right, let's go ahead and get into our cast details.
Okay, so main cast for these, for the show, but these 2 episodes, this will change as we get through. But we have Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Simon Williams, Sir Ben Kingsley reprising his role as Trevor Slattery, Arian Moayed, is that how you say his name? I believe.
Let's say yes, and we'll find out by next week if that's true.
He's Agent Cleary, ex-Mayo as Janelle Jackson, Joe Pantoliano, aka Joey Pants as himself, and Zlatko Buric as Von Kovac.
Yeah.
And then there's tons of guest stars and co-stars, but we're just going to do some more notable roles in these 2 episodes. So Cameron J. Meadows plays young Simon. Bashir Sylvan plays Sanford Williams. Ashley Green appears as herself. Olivia Thirlby as Vivian, and Rachel Robinson as Marcy. And these first 2 episodes are written by Andrew Guest, Destin Daniel Cretton, and Roha Gashtili. And it is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton.
Fun fact, Destin Daniel Cretton's, I think, wife also does the costuming for the show.
Oh,
I think it's his wife. It could be his sister, but I think it's his wife. I saw it in the credits and I was like, oh, family business.
Oh.
All right, guys, let's get into the recap of, we're going to start with, I almost said manatee, doggone it.
Like, why is it manatee? No,
I
matinee.
literally looked at the word and was like, manatee. No, no. All right, matinee. Matinee, here we go. So we're going to start with a slight little summary. So, struggling actor Simon Williams is fired from a small role in the series American Horror Story after delaying production by overthinking his character and making repeated requests for changes. He arrives home from set early to find his girlfriend Vivian has also dumped him and is moving out. Simon goes to his local art house theater for refuge and comfort, where he meets actor Trevor Slattery, known for playing the Mandarin as part of a terrorist plot. If you know Iron Man, you know. And he informs Simon that he is auditioning for the acclaimed director Von Kovac's remake of the 1980s superhero film Wonder Man. As Wonder Man was one of Simon's favorite childhood movies, Simon begs his agent Janelle for a chance to audition, but is rejected due to his American Horror Story firing earlier that day. So Simon decides to sneakily get on her laptop and figure out the audition information, and then he goes anyway. So he sees Slattery there, and Slattery is assessing Simon. When he comes out of the audition room, he notices that he is very nervous, and he decides to offer Simon some advice that ends up helping him in his audition. Afterwards, the pair have drinks and agree to keep in touch. We then see that Slattery has been contacted by the Department of Damage Control, also known as DODC, and he's seeing Agent P. Cleary. He then confirms with the agent that he has made contact with Simon, who is suspected of having superpowers and is considered an unstable and dangerous individual, which was a real bummer when we got to that point, but we'll get to it. All right. So this episode, I think it was after this episode that I texted you and was like, oh my gosh, I love this show, but also anxiety. This show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So my mom watched the first episode before I did, and she was like, oh, I didn't go on because this is uncomfortable to watch. And I was so nervous about what she was talking about. And then immediately I knew, and I was like, yeah, it's uncomfortable to watch. But before we get to that part, before he goes out and he's in his trailer, he's doing a lot of movement, a lot of sounds, a lot of movement, about a lot of loosening up his body and getting prepared for his day on set. And so I wanted to ask you, what are your pre-filming like rituals or warm-ups, or do you have anything like that? I think people who are not connected to acting at all probably don't know, and they see these things and think they're really crazy. And then as an actor, I'm sure you know there are some people who do really simple things, and then there are some who are very out there. So I wanted to know, like, where do you fall?
Okay. So I will say it's very true. And it took me a minute to get okay with doing that kind of stuff before, auditions. Before I see it the most before auditions than I do going on to set. But obviously, depending on what your role is when you go on a set, you might have your own trailer, your own space, da-da-da. But it did take me a minute when I first got out here to LA to get used to doing that. Because even with theater, like, you have warm-ups, but usually theater warm-ups are done, at least in the productions I had done, would be kind of done communally. So everybody's expecting everyone to look ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're doing all the like vocal stuff and and all your tongue twisters and things like that.
Yeah.
It felt weird to do it in an audition space, especially a casting office. It's, it took me some time, and there were even more things that I would see people do to like kind of physically get into it. I'll say this. It depends largely on what it is I'm prepping for. I don't do it for everything.
Okay.
I don't do it all the time. And what it is will determine what I do. So if it's something where I'm needing to come into the room like in a certain state, I need to have like some type of frenetic energy or something going through me to convey whatever the scene is, and you're anxious, you're scared, you're angry, whatever, I might do something physical like run in place or push against the wall. That's another one where you kind of like just put all your strength into the wall and like push yourself off. I do always try to do vocal warm-ups in the car when I'm heading to an audition, just to have your voice warm so you're not having that like dry thing going on.
Yeah.
But, you know, for things like commercials or I don't know, there's some auditions where it's like, I don't need to do all that. Like, and maybe I'm
Right.
wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should be willing to just make a fool of myself. But there are times where I'm just like, it can be a little much. Let's just put it that way.
Well, it's interesting you say that because to me, Simon's warm up led me to believe that his role that he was about to
Was
shoot
more
was a lot
important.
larger than it was.
Yes.
And then when it turned out to be one line, I was like, God, Simon.
Yes, I thought the same thing. And I was like, oh, he's about to go in there and kill it. I'm thinking he already has a Wonder Man part or whatever it is, right? And then you go and see that he's just a day player
Mm-hmm.
and he just has to have like one or two lines before he gets eaten or whatever the story was going to be. Callie, the secondhand cringe, but also firsthand cringe that I had watching that opening scene with him.
Yes.
I think anybody who is an actor or maybe even actor adjacent will understand. I was screaming. I was screaming like, no, shut up. You're going to get fired. You're going to get fired.
Stop. Yep. Just stop. Just stop. I have put in my notes, his entrance came in strong. He came in complimenting his scene partner.
Clearly had
He
researched
complimented
everybody.
the director.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful. They know you're studied and they're prepared. Good impression.
Mm-hmm.
One question, the first question. Okay. All right, that was good. You're thinking, you're trying to give your person some background, even though it might not be needed, but you're trying to give your person background. Okay, second question, maybe a little too much. When the director, after, I believe it's after the second thing he asked, the director said, okay, let's try it both ways and walked off. That should have been it.
Yes.
That should have been enough. That was just enough to make them have a special note about you. But anything past that, you're just a nuisance. And I was just like, come on, no more, no more. And then he got all the way to the point of asking them to ask the writer. No, Simon.
I was so upset because you think about how many people are just itching to get a role like this or get on set or get into like, a well-known series. And then you've got jokers like these, because this does happen, you guys, in real life.
Yes.
People will get cut like this on the fly. If you are too much of a nuisance, if you are running late all the time, if you're constantly not on your lines or not on your marks, anything that's holding up production and they will give you the boot.
Right.
Good day, sir.
Right.
And so I think what surprised me was that feels like stuff that what he did felt like rookie mistakes. And then as you get further along in the season, it's like, he's a seasoned actor, so you should know better.
Right.
What were you thinking?
He should know better. What were you thinking? And then the other part of this bit that really bugged me and triggered me was one of his suggestions was to change where he gets attacked, right? And so the director explained, well, we have this moonbeam light here and if I really want it to happen in this spot. And then the lighting person walks over and says, we can change the moonbeam. And I was like, these motherfuckers be trying to undermine Black women in the workplace all the time. And I was mad at him for doing it, for even suggesting that it was possible. I was mad at Simon because I was like, brother, you're supposed to be supporting her.
Yeah, exactly.
You're supposed to be supportive.
Exactly.
Why are you challenging her so much?
I made a note after you said that. I saw that. I made a note about how one of his compliments when he came in to the director was like, I've seen all your episodes of blah, blah, blah. And oh my gosh, your episodes of Sons of Anarchy were the best ones of the season.
Yeah.
It's like, so you clearly agree that she knows what she's doing, yet you're challenging her and questioning all these things. Why? If you think she's good, let her. I could not understand. I could not understand. I guess it's supposed to show that he's so like trapped in his head that he's not aware of how, the things around him are being affected.
Right.
But I don't know, because I feel like any actor I know, that is the number one, I don't want to say number one fear, but it's one of the top fears of like getting on set is something changing, something happening, or you doing something to offend somebody and your role is cut.
Right.
Because you do so much work to get in the room, to get seen, to get a callback, to book the part. There's being on a veil. There's all these steps before you even get on the sound stage. And then once you're there, you're just trying to make sure you don't leave.
Right.
So I just couldn't understand.
And even beyond the fear of getting cut, the fear of burning a bridge.
Burning bridges.
Because and I this is something that I didn't know, as as a lay person until I started, knowing more actors, is it's so small. It's such a small world. It's such a small world.
Yep.
And so this director, let's say the casting person liked him and decides to cast him on something else. If that director's working there, that's getting vetoed. That's getting vetoed. He's not working with this woman ever again.
And they will flag you too. Problematic, whatever it is. You won't know why you all of a sudden aren't getting brought into certain offices or getting seen or whatever. They have flagged you. It will happen. Everything about that scene just made me want to turn inside out. I couldn't. And I made a note too. It was hard to watch the first go round when we had to rewatch it to do notes. I skipped it. I couldn't watch it again. I couldn't watch it again. I was like, I can't sit through this again. It just gives me so much, like my heart palpitations are just like, and you can't change it. It's like, shut up. I mean, you did kind of mention it with the director. Honestly, like, I guess it depends. I know sometimes directors are trying to give actors a little leeway or trying to give them consideration about things. But I was honestly kind of surprised that she wasn't like, it's locked. Okay.
Right.
This is what we're doing. We don't, we have to make, or not even we have to make our day, but like, we need to get the scene rolling. You're going to have to work with what we have here. Done.
Yeah.
But again, every director is different. So like, not all of them are so confrontational, but with TV, I feel like those directors are a little more aware of like, we've got limited time and limited budget.
Yeah. It's the timeline can't be moved.
So I was kind of surprised that like there wasn't a little more pushback from her, but at the same time, I'm sure she was like, I don't know, maybe he'll stop. And then he just kept going and it's like, all right, well, now I've indulged this too much. Everything about that scene just, man, I have to do deep breaths. So anyway, him got fired. So I guess
Him got fired.
I guess we can move on. So I made note that when they jump out of that scene, they give Simon his rap and he has to tuck his tail between his legs and go home and be a sorry, sad sack.
I thought that was so messed up. First of all, sorry, that you just reminded me of one more thing. I was like, do they really do this?
When they do this, it's a rap?
Where they did the rap on someone who got fired?
I don't think
if he finished
so.
his day, they would say that's a wrap on, that's a series wrap on Simon Williams, but he got fired.
Now listen, I haven't been around when somebody's gotten like given the boot.
Right.
But I don't think they say that's a series wrap. I'm pretty sure they just move him on and say, okay, we're going to move to the next scene or I don't know. I don't think they make, but I could be wrong. Maybe that has happened.
They made everybody clap for him when he got fired.
Talk about just shoot me, just drag me out to the back and shoot me. That's how I would have felt. So anyway, as he's heading home and they do the needle drop for the title sequence, the song they did, I was like, oh, this is a fun little song. It's by Buck Owens and his Buckaroos. And the lyric that caught me was like right before the Wonder Man title bursts up. The lyric is like, all I have to do is act naturally. And I was like, well, now I need to know what these lyrics are with the song, because you know me. I love the setup that songs can give, and this guy is pretty good about his intentionality with the songs that he uses. So the song is like, they're gonna put me in the movies. Anyway, I'm not gonna sing it, but the first few lyrics are like, they're gonna put me in the movies, they're gonna make a big star out of me, we'll make a film about a man that's sad and lonely, and all I gotta do is act naturally. Well, I'll bet you I'm going to be a big star. I might win an Oscar. You can't never tell. The movie's going to make me a big star because I can play the part so well. Well, I hope you come to see me in the movie. Then I know that you will see plainly the biggest fool that's ever hit the big time. And all I got to do is act naturally. So there's more, but those were like the first three that I was kind of like, oh, so this is basically telling us like, this is who we're dealing with. This is a sad man. This is a lonely man.
Yes.
This is a man who has a lot of ambition, but clearly can't act naturally. Like the irony is in the, all I got to do is act naturally. Right. And it's like, one, I found it profound because one, everything about the movie business in particular, acting in films especially, sometimes even acting on stage, is that it is the furthest thing from natural, right? Like you are being observed. You're basically a fish in a bowl. You have cameras all around you. You've got people preening you and prodding you and telling you to, everything about acting for film is unnatural, yet you have to make it seem natural. You have to figure out a way to act naturally in very unnatural circumstances. So that's ironic, point number one. And then again, when they say the part about like, we're going to make a film about a man that's sad and lonely, it's like, yeah, I can play that part real well. But it's just funny because obviously as we come to, sorry. Okay, so there might be some noise in the background. I'm a little annoyed. Somebody's washing clothes and I feel like I can hear it. And there's nothing I can do about it. If you guys hear a hum, it's my neighbors and they're loud dryer. Anyway, all right, well, let's hope that we can. But anyway, so yeah, just everything about this song felt very ironic about Simon, and the fact that he is an actor and that's the career path he's chosen, where you have to be on full display and you have to be fully available to the scenes, the moments, the whims of the industry, but he's hiding this big secret, so he can't be natural. He can't act like himself because that is the one thing that will keep him from the thing he wants to do, right? So it's a fun little ditty if you want to check it out. Buck and his buckaroos. But I found that to be a good tone setter for what we're about to endeavor with Simon. What else? We got Simon going in. He gets broken up with. I know a lot of this is like, obviously we're trying to like really set the pace of like, this guy is really down and out.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, dang, this girl, I don't know if they said how long they were together or supposed to be together, but
they did. I don't think they did, actually. I'm trying to remember if it comes up later. I don't think so.
But it seems like it was for a while, long enough to move in with someone, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, homegirl is just going to move out during an audition? Or I guess not audition, like during a shoot day, I guess. But like...
Yeah. Well, it was because he wasn't supposed to be done until 5. That's what she said. This was supposed to be a full day so she could be out before he got back, was the plan. Which is, I mean... Simon is a good guy, but usually when people try to do that, it's an abusive situation. So I was like, whoa.
Right. That's why I was like, whoa, we're trying to duck out while somebody's at work? That's wild. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt like one of those things that I was like, girl, I know you want to leave the relationship, but you're just gonna move your whole self out of the place while he's working? What was the plan? He comes home, empty apartment, none of your stuff is there?
That was the plan.
I know, but then what? He's going to be like, where are you?
Gone. I mean, duh.
I feel like that would have, I don't know. I guess you could just ignore block calls, but I'm like you said,
all the time.
It does, but I guess like you said, is usually those situations where you're leaving like that, it's abusive or the person is like controlling or like something bad.
At the very least, it's a contentious breakup. So it makes me wonder too if they had the breakup conversation and he was still in denial.
Maybe
because then he's like, "What? You just gonna leave?" And she kind of is like, "Yeah."
I also thought it was wild when he was talking to her and she's like, "I'm just not happy," and he's like, "I think you just need to book something." That is not the like. If I'm leaving you in the ghost of the day, it's not about booking a role. That's not the problem. I was like, that's a wild response. I
mean, kind of just illustrates probably what the problem is, and that's where your focus is 24/7.
Yeah.
And our lives are more than just our acting careers.
Yeah, it's true. There's some stuff that gets said later that's very profound about like Simon's dilemma with him and how he's pursuing his acting career. But I will say, now I can't attest to this personally because I have not dated an actor. I've dated creatives, I've dated musicians, but not an actor. But I have heard that dating an actor is not the funnest. And I guess maybe it just depends. Obviously, that's not always the case and not always true. But like, I think now I can say, having dated a musician, I understand from this point of view that like sometimes creatives can get very bound up in their creative space and they aren't always so available to the other aspects of life because they're so locked into needing to do this thing, get this right, figure this out, book this role, land this job, get this gig. So like, again, I have heard that dating or being in a relationship with an actor can be kind of difficult, and there could be a number of reasons why. I watched the unfortunate movie The Materialists, and
You hated that
It was
movie.
bad. It was not a good
I
movie.
haven't seen it.
But one of the plot points of the movie is, spoiler alert, if you want to watch this tragically bad film, is that Dakota Fanning and Chris Evans were two actors who were dating. They moved to New York City together, and that what broke up their relationship was that Dakota Fanning, not Dakota Fanning, what's her name? Dakota Johnson, whatever. Dakota Johnson did not want to be in a relationship with broke boy Chris Evans anymore because she wanted to have a luxurious life, and them being two broke actors was not going to satisfy that for her. So yada yada yada, we're not together anymore. So all that to say, that could be a reason for some people why dating actors is difficult. There is a lot of monetary investment into just the pursuit of acting.
Yeah.
So that can be difficult to be in partnership with that. You got to be ready for that to be where a lot of the money is going. Or again, it could just be the artistic thing where it's like, I've got to give myself to my craft and there's nothing left for you. And who knows? Who knows? I'm just saying that there's a lot of stories and a lot of reasons why it can be a little tricky. But yeah, anyway, Simon lost a job, Simon lost his girl, Simon ain't doing all right. And then we get that scene with him in the bathroom. And I remember when I watched it through the first time, this was before knowing everything was happening, I thought he was experiencing an earthquake and just not clocking it because he was so despondent. I was like, oh boy, okay.
Or in Los Angeles, it's an earthquake.
He's like, I'm just too upset to even acknowledge.
It's just some toothbrushes shaking a little bit. It's no big deal.
Little shake, no big deal. Yeah. So come to realize in hindsight that this is a buildup of an internal thing going on with Simon. So now we've got to find some comfort. And this is another thing that I think a lot of actors do. I'm sure people in general just do it. You know, you have your go-to places where it's like, I just need to be here to just feel better about myself or to kind of escape how I'm feeling or just like go to my happy place or whatever. Could be an actual place you go to, could be a thing you do. But for Simon, it's go to the movies. So he goes to Highland Theater, which, fun fact, Kristen Stewart just bought Highland Theater.
Oh, is she refurbishing to still make it a theater or is she doing something else?
I don't know what she's going to do with it. I'm not sure. Don't know. I would imagine she probably wants to renovate it and do something with it. That would be the only thing smart.
Yeah.
I read the article. I think it was maybe an Architecture Digest, or maybe I'm making that up. I don't know. But I read an article where she was talking about it. And she was like, I've just been wildly fascinated with old theaters and the history there. And I hate to see them just like go by the wayside or be torn down.
Good, because you know I'm a movie theater person. So I'm like, if she's getting rid of it, I hate her.
I'm pretty sure Kristen seems art housey enough that I'm sure what she desires to do with it is to bring it back to life in some fashion. But I also was curious because I was like, now wait a minute. When I read in the article that she bought it, they said it had been closed down for years. And I was like, well, then how did they shoot in there? Unless maybe they just shot an exterior, which they probably could have still done. But apparently it was open and it did shut down in 2023 or 2024 because of COVID stuff. It did not could not recover post-COVID, so it did have to close down officially for good. So I was like, okay, well that makes sense because this was made years ago and we're just now getting it. So probably when they were shooting it, it was fully functional and able to be utilized.
Right. So in this scene, when he meets Trev, he's going to ask him to be quiet because he's on the phone before the movie starts. And Trevor is talking to someone, conveniently dropping that he has a big audition. But when he ends the phone call, he says, give my love to Uma. Who do we think he's talking to?
Well, we know that Uma Thurman was married to Ethan Hawke. We know that she has worked with Quentin Tarantino. I don't know who else. Or maybe, no, that'd be weird. I was going to say, maybe he knows Maya Hawke and is like, give my love to Uma, your mother. I don't know.
That's funny. Do we think he was actually on the phone with someone? Now that by the end of this, we know he's a plant.
Yeah.
So was he actually on the phone?
Here's the thing. Trevor Slattery is such a profound actor. I can 100% believe, and here's why I can't believe it. I'm going to be telling on myself a little bit. I 100% believe that he wasn't on the phone with anybody.
Yeah.
And just improv a whole conversation in his mind or like pre-thought through like what that conversation would be and is just talking to himself.
Yep.
I say that as someone who has done exactly that.
I know you have.
who has done exactly that to get out of certain things, like people who are soliciting things in front of the grocery store. And I'm like, I really don't
Yeah.
want to stop and talk to anybody today. Or I'm trying to ignore the Girl Scouts because I don't want them to get any more of my money. And I just saw some today outside. I was like, they're already out. And literally, I've done this many ways. I've done it where I'm talking to my kid. I've done it where I'm talking to my spouse. I've done it where I'm talking to a friend. I've done it where I'm talking in a different accent. I've done it where I'm talking to a parent. I've done it where I'm talking to a coworker. I have improvised a number of phone conversations that never existed.
Love it.
I've done it when I'm walking down a strange street and I don't want to get mugged or robbed or stabbed.
Right.
So I believe that Trevor wasn't on the phone with anybody. But he could have been. But yeah, I 1,000% believe that he just made it up. Mm-hmm.
That's so funny.
A good actor would. So have you seen the movie
Midnight Cowboy?
What is it that they watched? Midnight Cowboy? Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Me neither.
I have never seen that.
But now I've seen the end, and thanks a lot, Wonder Man. I guess they said if you haven't seen it by now, you don't want to see it. And that might be true.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I was just like, oh man, every time I see young John Voight, I'm like,
it's weird.
That's what you look like before your face was plastic. I mean, he looks the same, right? Like I
He does look
recognize
the
that
same.
it was him.
Yeah.
But also
Something ain't the same.
Barbie doll-ish of it about it now.
It's very true. It's very true. On that note, have you seen the other Mandarin adjacent like shorts that have come out?
There's only one, right? That gave us the backstory to the 10 Rings. So it picks up with him in prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's called All Hail the King. It was part of a series called One Shot. Did you watch all the One Shots? Do you remember this? It was so funny.
No, I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah, so it's called All Hail the King, and it is someone doing an exclusive with Trevor Slattery as he's serving his time in prison, but it leads up to him learning about the actual Mandarin and the legend of the 10 Rings.
Right.
And that he is very mad at him for taking his name. And then it ends with him just before he's about to get kidnapped. And so then we pick up in Shang-Chi, he has been kidnapped by the 10 Rings and is being kept prisoner there.
Okay, so we've gotten past the theater. They're chummy. They're having a gag about life. Now we see Simon go off to his agency and have to sit with Janelle, who I love ex Mayo. She's very fun in this role. I wish I had an agent like that. Honestly, their relationship was such that I was like, did he know her prior to either her being a big agent? Like, was she one of the first people he took on, like, while she was trying to, like, build up her business as an agent?
Right.
Did they know each other as friends prior? They seem very familiar with each other that I was like...
He was clearly very comfortable there, too.
Also, I was like, okay, so again, unless he has this friendship with her and she brought him with her when she got to this agency, I was like, he can't be too terrible of an actor. He's under a pretty large agency, what it looks like a CAA type of office.
Yeah.
So even though you can have smaller talent in those spaces, still to get signed with one of those agents is not easy. So I was like, so he must have talent. He must book. He must be pretty good, or they would have dropped him like a bad habit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But bold strokes for him going to Janelle's machine and thefting information. I was like, wow, that is bold and that is smart. And you are lucky that she just left her stuff behind.
Yeah. When she walked out, I was like, why are you leaving him there? Before he even looked at the computer and got the idea, I was like, that's weird. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody leave anybody alone in their office when they are leaving the day.
No. Like, all right, well, have fun sitting in here without me. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. I love the scene when he's driving to the audition trying to get his name on the list, and he's pretending to be some assistant that got in trouble, or assistant covering for another assistant that got in trouble. And he's like, girl, oh no, this is going to kill me. Whatever. It was so good.
These are the little actory things that I'm just like, this I enjoy. So Simon gets the audition. Simon gets to go in the room. When we go in and they mention the doorman waiver, I remember the first time I was like, the heck, what does that mean? I don't get it. I don't understand. They very casually slide that in, first mention of doorman, anything. And then we get to the audition hall, and once again my anxiety rose because I was just like, I hate this space. Because again, it's always packed full of people. Everyone's trying to like tune everybody else out, but you can't. And you're trying not to pay attention to what other people are doing or how they're doing their lines or doing their reads. Everyone's pacing. Someone's pacing up and down. Someone's doing something on the wall. Someone's making notes. Someone's, entering and exiting, entering and exiting. It's a lot.
I don't know how y'all actually just do it, because I went to one freshman year of college, went to audition for Vagina Monologues. It was me, my roommate, and another girl who lived on our floor. And I saw the chaos in the waiting for the audition. And I said, you know what? I'm here for moral support. Y'all are going to do great. And I didn't audition. I never thought about it again. Couldn't be me. My anxiety ain't no way.
It takes a certain degree of insanity. I'm not going to lie. Like, you have to kind of dissociate at a certain point because it's a lot.
It made me think of my mom. Before she was a teacher, she was an actor in New York. And so there was this woman, I don't remember, shoot, I knew her name. I don't remember her name. She ended up being like a frequent like correspondent on CBS's Sunday morning show. But anyway, my mom told me that she lost many a roles to her, and it would be like callbacks and then getting down to the same two, and it would be like her. She'd walk in and see she's there again, and she'd be like,
exactly. That's the other thing. Yes, that does start to happen because, like, as you mentioned earlier, you realize that it is a small world, especially within Hollywood. And when you do enough of these auditions and you're being cast under a certain type, you're going to see a lot of the same actors coming in for the same roles. And you will have those one or two that always just beat you out. And so as soon as you see them there, you're like, like you're trying not to get in your head, but you're like, if they're there and I'm here, then this might not go my way. This is probably not going to go my way. Yeah, it's real fun. You guys should join. So Simon goes into his audition. It's great. I loved it. Yaya is such a good actor. It makes me sick a little bit, but also I love watching him. This is a slight tangent, but not really. When I found out he was being cast as Wonder Man and I didn't know much about what this was, all I knew was like, Yaya has been trying to break into the superhero genre for a bit, and it just keeps not quite working out for him. I mean, listen, he is a good actor. He's doing fine. He has other roles. He's doing fine. Yep. But I know that like Watchmen was one of his first attempts at that. Watchmen, had mixed reviews. And then he tried to come back in Aquaman, and he was the villain in Aquaman. And that did not go well for him either.
Did not like that one.
Well, a lot of reasons why. But the thing that bummed me out is I think, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like his role got dialed back as the villain because Manta Ray is it Black Manta or Black whatever?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's supposed to be the main antagonist to Aquaman. And then the first movie they did, they just were like, actually, no, it's its brother. Just kidding. But you're also kind of here.
Yeah.
But also you're kind of in the way. Like they did him kind of dirty in that one.
Yeah.
And then I asked someone if he was in Aquaman 2 because I did not see Aquaman 2. And they said he might have briefly been in it, but obviously still not like the main antagonist. So again, it's just like, dang, that didn't work out for him either. And like, I thought he did a great job with what he was given.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, I liked liked him in Watchmen too, but I mean, I honestly have liked his other work better. I love Candyman, and I don't typically like horror films.
Candyman was great. Yeah, and so all that to say, I was like, I can tell that this is something that he wants to try to get into, and it just keeps like, his attempts keep falling short. So then when I heard that Wonder Man was getting shelved, I was like, oh no, it's happening again. He just can't get a break. It's like, he just can't get a break. He just wants to be super. So I was so happy to see how well the reception was when the episodes came out. And I was like, yay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that this will necessarily mean anything, but at least he can know that like it's not for lack of like his efforts or like the quality of the project.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go further, it's just because Marvel and Disney are just up their butts right now about everything. But I was happy that it was well received and he got a lot of due praise for it. And so all this to say, when he did his audition scene, I was like, see, he's good. Like, just let him be super. Just let him be a hero. He just wants to be in the canon somewhere, anywhere. So yeah, he's a great actor. He's a great actor. Anywho, we get to the end of this episode, right? And we don't know Simon's fate.
Yeah, I was just like, oh no, Trevor's supposed to be a good guy. Say it ain't so, Trev. You know, when he gets the phone call, he's like, we've made third contact. I was like, no. I knew there was going to be a catch, but I didn't want it to be that. So,
Playing it so well.
yeah, I left the first episode like distressed about that.
And it breaks your heart because you're like, does he really, really like him, or is he just playing him? Like, you get to the end of the first episode and you're just like, oh no, he's so, you can see how much, even just in that one episode, how much Simon has gravitated toward Trevor. And on some level, I get that as an actor. Like, I feel like the one thing that's kind of missing in the acting world, at least film acting, is like mentorship. Like, when you go and you're an actor, very seldom do you find people you can connect with who have been in the industry for a while that are willing to invest and pour back into you. And I feel like as an actor, you're a lot of the time you're trying to anchor yourself, because so much about this industry is transient and moving and fluxing, and you just try to find an anchor somewhere. And so I could see for Simon, it's like, oh my gosh, this is an actor who's seasoned. He's a vet. He's done stage. He's done film. You know, he's done terrorist videos. He's done everything. But like, you know, but he's talking to me and he's being helpful and he's giving me good advice, even though I'm not certain about it at first. But like, you can just see for Simon, and I think a lot of actors maybe could attest to that. It's just like, if you get that type of connection, it's so helpful and anchoring and affirming.
Yeah.
Because so much of the time you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm doing anything right. I don't know who can tell me if I'm doing anything right. I just know I'm constantly running into rooms trying to impress people, or trying to do my best, or trying to learn technique, or trying to go to class and trying to better myself, and da da da. And I don't know if any of it is mattering in the long run. And I just kind of want someone to be like, it's okay. You're doing great. Relax, you know, or whatever the case may be. Like, so all that to say, you could see how quickly Simon had already kind of latched on to Trev.
Yeah.
And then to see the scene with him in the DODC, it's just like, no, don't take that away from me. Like, don't. Once you know that he's working for them, it's just like, this is going to be a really bad rug pull whenever it comes to a head, right?
Yeah.
It's going to really suck. Even if it turns out that you end up being sincere, when the pile of bricks comes crashing down, it's going to be not very good. So anyway, that's episode 1.
Okay. Episode 2.
Woo.
So this episode's called Self-Tape. It begins with Trevor Slattery's plane flight returning to Hollywood. Presumably this is picking up where we left him in Shang-Chi. And he is intent on fulfilling his mother's dream for him to have an illustrious acting career. He's an older gentleman, but it's never too late. So when he lands, he's immediately arrested by the FBI and the DODC and Agent Cleary. And so Agent Cleary is questioning him. He's very hazy on how Slattery somehow managed to be walking free after not finishing his full sentence for the crimes of the Mandarin, which, as we mentioned earlier, he didn't serve his full sentence because the 10 Rings kidnapped him from prison. Okay. And he offers him a deal. Help us prove that Simon Williams is an enhanced individual so we can take him in, or you go back to prison and you finish your sentence. And so we got our little background there, and then we jump back to present day, and Simon's agent, Janelle, informs him that he impressed the casting director for Wonder Man, and they want him to send in a self-tape for an independent film. So it's not the news he wanted to hear exactly, but it's good news nonetheless, because he has impressed a very important casting agent. And Simon gets right on this, but it proves more than difficult to film this self-tape in the aftermath of his fresh breakup. His apartment has bad energy. And so as he's trying to get motivation, he's looking through old self-tapes and he sees a video with Vivian in it, and this activates all his emotions and his powers, and he has an explosion, a burst of energy that then causes a massive blow, big damage to a wall in his apartment. So then he asks Slattery to help him film his self-tape. And just at that time, Slattery is meeting with Agent Cleary, and Agent Cleary is giving him a device to hack Simon's computer. So Slattery goes to help Simon, and after unsuccessfully trying to film the audition at a self-tape studio, at Slattery's apartment, and at the house of Slattery's nemesis, Joe Pantoliano, the pair return back to Simon's apartment finally and film a successful self-tape. And that is when Slattery is able to hack Simon's computer, and he also discovers the damage to the wall that happened earlier in the episode.
So, self-tapes.
Before we get
we'll
there,
get there.
I was going to say,
we'll get there.
I did wonder what happened about him after the 10 rings. So when you mentioned the side things, I was like, wait, was there one that takes place after that I missed? I was like trying to find it, but there's not. So there's a hole there. There's a gap there. We don't know how he got from China back, and or like what happened after he was riding mythical creatures and like being the sideline to this battle over there, and I forget what the magic place is called, but from
Talo, is that it?
Talo, yes.
Okay.
And then what happened? Happened? We don't know.
I saw something online that like they wondered about the time, because there's something about the timeline not adding up with this show, but at the same time everyone's like Marvel is kind of like the timelines in Marvel are getting a little weird, so
yeah,
it's hard to say. But I guess somebody was like, well, time also moves different in Taldo, so he could have been there for I think it was because he kept saying he was 13 years sober.
Yeah.
And then they referenced back to the one shot in All Hail a King and he's drinking a beer.
Yes.
So they were like, well, that wasn't 13 years ago, so why does he keep saying that?
Right.
But then someone brought up, well, he's been in Talo and time moves different, so maybe it has been 13 years for him based on that.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
I also just feel like Trevor is the type to just pick a random number.
Oh, well.
You know what I mean? Like I definitely, that theory works with Talo and the time difference, but I also totally buy Trevor just being like 13 is a nice number. So I'm going to say 13 years sober. You know what I mean? He could be days sober.
You're right. Honestly, you're right. 13 does sound like a nice number. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so we are at the beginning of this day. The whole plane thing was... When they tackled him, I literally was like, oh! Like, I screamed because they threw that man to the ground. Like, it was aggressive. I was like, oh. I guess when, you're dealing with someone was a maybe terrorist or whatever.
Right.
But still, like, he's an old man. Jeez.
Yeah, they don't care. But they clearly don't believe the story, even though, like, he was prosecuted as Trevor Slattery impersonating this, and they don't think he's not the Mandarin, but they clearly don't fully believe that. They're like, this guy is highly dangerous.
Right, yeah. I also watched that scene a couple times because it looks like Ben Kingsley actually took that stunt. And I was like, if that's true, I'm impressed. Because again, the camera followed him to the ground. So I don't know if there's a way you can hide a cut in there. Maybe you can. But you see him talking to this lady. The camera is on him. You see him. And then boosh. And then he's on the ground. And I'm just like, did he take that stunt? Because that was a tile floor. That's aggressive. It's not like he fell out of frame and then they cut to him on the ground. Like, you saw him go to the ground. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe they hit a cut in there. Okay, so all the stuff with him at the DODC, I don't really know if I have much to say about it. It's annoying that this guy is very much like, this guy is dangerous, da-da-da. I'm very curious what the role of the DODC is going to be going forward. I've heard some different theories, in particular pertaining to, like, if we get the mutant saga, that this might be like the version of, what were they called in X-Men? I can't remember exactly. I see it in my brain, but they had a organization at least in the animated series, and I think it came from the comics, that pretty much was hunting down mutants. And so they're wondering if the DODC is going to serve as that or lead to that particular organization. Because it already looks like that. But what a douche. Agent Cleary, he sucks. I get it. You're getting like the top down from that other dude too. But like also, that this guy has mostly stayed out of the way, and the most that's happened is some buildings have gotten messed up. Nobody's died. Nobody's, whatever. Like,
Hmm.
it's just a brother trying to make it. Leave him be,
Yeah.
Anyway, but you're
Yeah.
trying to make your quota and make your numbers and it's stupid. But I do appreciate how Trev continually finds ways to like work with them, but not be 100% working for them, right? Like
Yeah.
at every point he's like, yeah, I can figure this out. And you can tell that he's trying to figure out a way around it or out of it, especially the more he gets to know Simon.
Yeah.
But I think even prior to, like, he probably took the job and was like, sure, fine. But then once he realized he was another actor and has all these connections, he's like, this man's just trying to make it. Like, I get it. Life is tough. Like, I don't need to be off this guy's butt.
Yeah, like you said, even before then, he's just like, I want to go back to prison, but I don't necessarily want to do this.
Exactly.
So,
So while he is still, involved in some subterfuge, I appreciate that he's not just 100% believing what the DODC is trying to, put out there about Simon.
yeah.
So, and I also get not wanting to go to prison, and prison sucks, and I get it. So, we get the news from Janelle. He has impressed casting. He's getting the chance to do a self-tape for an indie film.
Hmm.
Cool. As soon as they said self-tape, I said, oh, no.
Okay, self-tapes. So I have questions for you.
Okay.
More actory questions.
Give 'em to
Resident
me.
actor. Okay, here we go. So one, have you ever done a self-tape studio? I know those popped up, like he said, a lot during the pandemic. Seems expensive and like a gamble. Anyway, do you do this method, I should say, of recording the other parts to work with? Because I thought that was interesting. He recorded and then acted against himself on the phone. Do you prefer a reader? Is it more helpful when the reader is also an actor, like we see later in the episode where Trev doesn't just read it, he performs that other piece with him, and it's definitely like the two of them together. What's your process? All right. I know self-tapes are trash, but
So to answer the first question, have I used a self-tape studio? I have not, but that is mostly because they are expensive. And this actor, especially at that point in time, was not making enough money to just be able to jump to a self-tape studio willy-nilly. I knew people who did it. I don't know that and this is what I found interesting. I don't know that I've ever seen a studio that ran by the minute, a rate, like a by the minute rate.
I was like, that's intense.
Yeah, most of the time it's a flat rate and you come in there and do your work and it's not cheap. So I have had the good fortune of, since I am a photographer, having my own camera and my own gear.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'll figure it out myself. Now, would I do it if I had the means? Possibly if I found like a good reputable one, because there are a lot of sketch ones out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to make sure you find the good ones. It can be helpful. And I've even considered it when it was like, if I were going to get a call back for a certain bigger role and you want to make sure you've got the right setup, the right lighting, the right like framing. And I've heard of a lot of people that's when they'll go to the self-tape studios. It's like because it is beneficial, I do think, to have a reader. To answer your third question, have I done the lines in reverse for myself? Yes, I have. Not on anything big, not on anything that has like a lot of lines, mostly because what he started running into is what will happen is the timing will kind of be off, because as you're acting, you're just in your moment. And the way you recorded the lines, unless you have some way to like cue up the line exactly when you want it to come up, if you've pre-recorded them out, you've given them a certain amount of space, it might end up being too long for the moment you gave it on one take. It might be too soon on another take. So like, it does get a little frustrating sometimes when you do it that way. But if you are in a pinch and you don't have a reader, it can be done. It's just a lot more work. I've only done them on like commercial auditions where it's like you may have one or two lines that just need to be said by somebody else. And it's not anything that's like, you need to be in a certain, like there's a bit more of a pacing or a snappiness to it because commercials need to be like quick. So you can be on the line a little more easily. A scene is trickier. A scene for a movie, even trickier depending on what it is. So it just depends on the situation. I tend to prefer having a reader. It's just one less thing for you to have to do.
Yeah.
And when you're self-taping, you're having to do so much. You basically become your own production studio. It's really kind of annoying. And when self-tapes used to be just kind of a rarity, they are now like, that is how you're doing auditions now. You're only coming in the room if it's something big or, call back 2 or 3 or whatever. Any introductory audition now is, thanks to COVID, going through self-tapes. So
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to have a self-tape setup now of some kind. Thanks to pandemic, that became the way of things. And you talk to some people and they'll say, I prefer it that way. It gives me more flexibility. I don't have to run across LA. Now, I will say that was annoying when you did have to do it. Audition in Santa Monica, you live in North Hollywood, you're on the freeway for like 2 hours to go be in a room for 2 minutes and then be back on the freeway. Like it was annoying.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna act like it wasn't. But there's also something that is lost with self-tapes because everything is so virtual. You don't have a person in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a reader who can read with you at home, that is the preferred way. I do think you need a body.
Okay.
The self-tapes, the more recent self-tapes I've had to do, I have a reader, but they usually are through Zoom or FaceTime or something like that. And I set them up near a microphone so that their lines can be caught on the recording. And I'm doing it to a camera. So I get a face, I get a real voice, I get a human person, but there's still something different when they're not actually in the room with you.
Right.
The times I've gotten to do a self-tape and actually have a reader there with me feels better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, then you get to the next part of your question, which is, but then you risk having maybe a good reader or not so good reader. I've done both. I've had friends for me who are not actors read for me, and it has worked. And if something's not working, I will say, hey, can we either move it a little faster, or
Yeah.
can you say it this way, or you're supposed to be a mom, just kind of keep that in mind. Like if I need it to shift, I have some non-actor friends that I have worked with enough that they now kind of get it, so they're like, oh, okay, I know what to do.
Yeah.
I prefer to have another actor just because they get it, right? That you don't have to go through so much terminology and lingo, they kind of get it. But I've also had actor friends who've read for me that I'm like, oh, that was not good. But when you're in a pinch, you get what you get and you don't get upset. That's all you can do.
Yeah. You made me think of two more questions. So one, have you ever felt upstaged by your reader? Because we have had situations where we have been like, oh, this audition was really good. Who's reading for you? They should audition for such and such too. We have seen this happen. We have had this happen in things that we are casting.
You are right.
Have you ever had a situation where you watched back and you were like, they might have been a little too good?
I maybe once, you know what? I won't say this person's name, even though I think it's a compliment. And they probably don't listen to the podcast, but I did have a reader read for me. And I remember I was kind of lost in their read because I was like, wow, they're doing so good that it was like I was losing my stuff in it because I was just like, man, they sound so good. And I remember watching it back in playback and being like, fortunately, this person was a male actor, so it wasn't somebody I'd have to worry about losing the role to.
Right.
But it was one of those situations that I was like, man, if there's a part for him, it'd be kind of dope if they hear my tape and they're like, let's get him in here for something.
Who's that guy? Yeah.
But then it also would have sucked if he got a role and I didn't. I'd be like, what? So I guess I can say, yeah, I've had that situation, but it hasn't happened often. But in some ways, I don't know. I'm the type of person that I kind of would want a reader who is better versus worse, because it's going to force me to up my game to meet them where they are, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes when I have a reader, and this is all relative, right? Better, worse, this is just based on what my mental idea of it should be, right?
Right.
Now, some of it is practical. Some of it is just straight up, they're reading too slow. They're reading very stuttered. There are those things. But I guess in a better, worse category, like if I had a reader who was not at the same acting level as me, I don't necessarily think that makes me sound better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because I think it makes the scene sound weaker.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have a stronger reader.
Yeah.
And force my game up and have a stronger scene to present.
Yes.
Than a reader who's like, oh, well, I sound great next to them, but then the scene sounds weak.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's how I felt about the ending of this episode with the scene that they presented. I was just like, that was a strong scene.
Exactly.
Period. Right. With both of them. Okay. So then the other question that I was thinking of when you're talking about kind of like losing the body to perform with in the self-tapes versus going in person, I wonder, I wonder if this is a thing for actors that also have theater training, is there something helpful about having an audition in front of a table of people, right? One person on the table is always the reader, but sometimes there's, one or two other, if it's a bigger thing, there's a lot more people, right? And even though you're auditioning for film, I wonder if there is a leg up with the theater training and kind of having that audience of people. I don't know.
I can say for myself, I feel like it does, because I do think now, I don't know, there's pros and cons either way, because I do know that there are some actors that have only known film and television and auditioning in the room, and there is a bit of a leg up they get in terms of understanding the process and knowing how to produce without the person. But then sometimes they're awkward, right? Because they're not, they're like, I need a camera, I need a mark, I need a this and a that, right?
Yeah.
And again, I think this just goes back to whatever type of audition it is.
Yeah.
I think when you're getting up to bigger projects, feature film projects, series regular roles, things like that, where they need to see you as a performer, I think it does behoove you to have that theater background, because you know how to go with the scene and be present with the person with you. And if you are well trained enough in theater, I feel like you know how to scale your performance, right? I remember an acting teacher telling me that, like, it's not about being trained for television or trained for camera or whatever. If you understand your performance and you know how to give it at this level, at this level, at this level, at this level, right? Then it's not about being louder or being quieter. It's about, taking that character and making it apparent for an audience of 100, or making it apparent for a screen that's like right here, right? So it does. I think it just depends. For me, it's helpful, but then sometimes I feel like it can be a hindrance, because I do gravitate more towards having that audience, that feedback, that person to connect with.
Right.
And sometimes when it is like the roles where that just isn't going to be a thing, then it's just like, oh man, like, what do I do? And you have to find it within yourself. But I'll always say, I think every actor should have theater training. I think there's just a lot that comes with that. And I think most of the best actors we see that we hold up have that background.
I have one more thing about the self-tape scene. The Marcy, the owner of the self-tape studio, who also said that she has to be the one to do all the off-camera lines. I was like, why, Marcy? What is your purpose? Is she trying to be an actor? Doesn't seem like it. Like, I really try to understand, if you opened a business like that, right, to capitalize, it's smart. If you open it in that area and you're in that spot, you're gonna get a lot of business. Why would you make that a stipulation to be there, that you have to read for everyone? That seems dumb too, because like, you can only take one person at a time too.
That's true.
If you had
if you're the only person
rooms,
running it,
let them just do by the minute, you wouldn't.
That's a good point.
Right? You could make more money. I really was trying to understand where she was funny.
Well, yes. And I was gonna say, kudos to that actress. She was very memorable and very grating. She did her job. It could be a couple things. I noticed one thing again when he said he was going to a room that charged by the minute. I was like, oh, is this her con? Where it's like, I get people here, they're desperate, they need a self-tape. I draw out the time, and then I get more money.
She had the nerve to tell him to pick up the pace, and he did it.
That part. He said, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. Excuse me? So there's that. But it could also be, it could still be that. It could also be, going back to what you were saying a minute ago, maybe her hope is, if I sound good enough on these tapes that are going to these casting offices, maybe they'll be like, who was that reader? And then all of a sudden they're calling Marcy, and Marcy's got to audition for whatever. So maybe that's her hope too, is like, oh, if I stipulate that I'm the only person who reads, then I'm, if anyone is curious about who'd you read with, what casting office, or what self-tape studio did you go to, Marcy's winning.
I could see like that very quickly becoming like a business thing that people know, and like a casting director clicks to open a tape, here's Marcy's voice, and then they're like, nope.
Nope, there's Marcy.
Then, right, it has to be something that you learn either from, like, you get an acting coach, you get something that has the insider knowledge of like, hey, if they hear Marcy on your tape, they're not even gonna watch it. They're not. They're turning it off. Don't go there anymore.
That's
okay.
True, and that happens. That happens. So, like, yeah, it could be shooting yourself in the foot going to Marcy's self-tape studio. This is the thing that sucks about going to these studios. It's like, again, unless you're getting a good referral from somebody, you really don't
You
know
don't know.
what the output is going to be, what the tape is going to sound like, who you're going to be working with. You're just kind of crapshoot, in the dark, hoping that, okay, I mean, I'll have an option, but hopefully this works.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money to pay for a crapshoot in the dark. Like, ugh.
Right.
And the ones that are usually pretty reputable, again, are pretty pricey because they know what they're doing and they get results. So you're paying for that reputation.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about Joey Pants. I could not have predicted.
Joey Pants was so funny. I was like, what a wonderful surprise.
What a delight. And yet, what a not great version of Joey Pants. But also,
Right.
what a delight. I certainly wasn't expecting him to pop up in this. One thing I love about this being kind of a love letter to Hollywood and acting and the acting pursuit is that we are getting a lot of fun cameos here and there.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun and not people you would expect. I did not expect to see Ashley Greene. I don't think I've seen Ashley Greene since Twilight, if I'm being 100% honest. I'm sure she's working and doing stuff. I just don't know what. So there's that. But then, yeah, you get Joey Pants and you're just like, you're here. What are you doing, Joey Pants? And I just love that he has this old rivalry with Trevor Slattery. And he's just like, this guy, this.
But he doesn't really, right? It's all in Trevor's head.
Yeah.
You realize very quickly, like, this man loves you.
He was so delighted. Come on in, have some mutts and some this and some that, and we got food, and you can't act on an empty stomach. I'd love to shoot at Joey Pants' home. I wish that were an option. Let's go with the sunroof for the tree. What? Okay. It was such a funny scene. And it also, like you said, was also kind of a sad scene once you realize that, like, this rivalry that Trevor has been, like, holding on to isn't 100% what he believes it is. And also just, like, this is clearly in the throes of his addiction and, like...
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But then also Joey Pants is condescending, as Simon says. And like not, treating it with like the most care. But at the end wasn't like, didn't seem like he had a grudge, right? When they walked out, or even when Simon kind of told him off, he was more concerned about the fact that he didn't know about the Wonder Man audition. So like,
right.
I'm like, I don't know. Where do we stand with Joe? Is he a good guy? Is he is he a douche? Is he just an actor?
Right. Is he just an actor? Oh man.
But I did enjoy that scene. And I was kind of bummed we didn't get to see any self-taping in that house because I was very curious what the setup would have been. It probably would have looked great.
What was it going to be? Yeah. That scene, too, made me just be like, oh, Trev he's a true troubled artist. He really needs his acting, but I think he should probably also have some therapy. I think he needs some support.
Yeah, agree.
I don't agree 100% with what Joe was saying, but to some extent, Trevor might be taking it just a little bit too serious. Just a little bit too enmeshed in his entire being.
But I will say this was a nice flip of the mirror to see how Simon and Trev are really not so different, right? Like when Trevor is with Simon is too uptight and too in his head, and Trevor is loose and he's blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then you get to see that in his world, when you take it to his turf, he's basically Simon in a different way, right? This is very serious. This is craft.
Yeah.
This is not a joke.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And so you're getting to see how these two are really more alike. And that's probably why, again, it garners sympathy from Trevor to not fully go after this man and get all this intel.
Right.
Or give all this intel away. It's like, I see myself in this guy. I see the type of person I am, and I want him to be better than I was.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to go down the same rabbit holes that I did, right? I also liked his line, I didn't write it all down, but when he was saying like acting, it's just a job, he's like, it's a great job. You can, it's a great way to make a buck. But when he was like, the minute you try to make it more than that about like being famous or getting revenge on your parents or whatever, that's when you lose it. And I was like, that is true, because I've heard this said before, like truly, like a lot of actors are just like you said, people that need to go to therapy, if I'm being honest. Like we are creative, but we haven't quite, figured it all out, and we're trying to process it through other characters and other places and other whatevers. But with that comes also like needing some type of validation, right?
Yeah.
And it, wait, was that this show or was that something else I watched recently?
Uh-oh.
There was a quote I heard. It was something else I watched. Shoot, I don't remember what it was now. Oh, I think it was when I was watching Song Sung Blue. No, I lie. It was Cool Runnings. Anyway.
Oh. Two
Sorry.
totally different,
Very different
options for
Very
what
different.
you're thinking could have come from.
Yeah. But it was John Candy. I know. This is ADD, guys. It was John Candy and in Cool Runnings, and he was talking to the leader of the team when he was asking him why he cheated.
Okay.
And John Candy talked about how, my whole life was built around winning, and when you make winning your whole life, you don't know who you are when you're not winning, and that's why I cheated. He's like, basically making the point of like, you need to be content with who you are with or without the medal. Like, if you aren't satisfied with you without it, then you'll never be satisfied with who you are with it. And so that, tying it back, made me, is like a parallel to this thing that Joe Pantaleone was saying about like, acting should just be something that's fulfilling to you, and it's a job and you should take it seriously. But like the minute you try to make it something that's a validation of some sort or needs to like affirm you in some way, you're just going to lose the thread. So
yeah,
I did like that little moment, but then he ruined it when he talked about how, most important thing about acting is sincerity. And once you learn how to fake that, you've got it made. I was like, good grief. But
the irony.
At the same time, there are people that do figure out how to fake it. And it's very frustrating for the people who are trying to like earnestly be sincere. And I'm talking about myself. And but when you're trying to go in there and be earnest and be yourself, but then you've got people who can walk in and just pretend at it, and people be like, oh, they're so great. Oh, they're so da-da. And then they walk out and they're like, I didn't even really read these lines. I got these sides this morning. And
And I'm sure it's frustrating for you. It's also frustrating for fans, right? Because I think the average fan blurs the lines between characters and real person, right? And some people, when you watch an interview or if you get the chance to meet them, are exactly who you expect them to be and want them to be. And then others are trash humans. And it's like, why are the trash humans so good at faking the good stuff, right? It's never like it's not disappointing when like someone who always plays a villain turns out to be a villain. You're like, okay, sure. But like someone who always gets like the leading man or the, you know what I mean? And then you're
charismatic,
like,
good guy. Yeah.
Oh no, you're trash. Those are the people who are good at faking the sincerity.
And this industry is full of them, and it's very frustrating again for the people who are trying to be earnest, because you're like, what do I got to do? Yeah. So there's so many moments throughout this entire series that really made me reflect as an actor, and we'll get to all of them when we get to each episode. But like, I feel like every episode for me was like a moment to just be like, I got to really sit and contemplate my choices, and like, and that's not necessarily good or bad. It's just like, again, it gives you a lot to kind of think about when you're seeing it. Because again, when you're pursuing a career as an actor, I don't know if I've made this clear. It is not easy. It is fraught with uncertainty, and it is constantly up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you're up longer than you're down, right? But it is an industry and it is a profession where there really is no way to be like, I've made it, right?
Yeah.
The few people who can say that, like your Meryl Streeps of the world, again, are like the 1%. They're like the billionaire class of actors, right? Like, they've been in the tooth long enough and have collected enough accolades to be like, yeah, I think I'm pretty okay. I'm pretty set. I think I'm good, right?
Yeah.
The majority of people that make up this industry, all the guest stars, the co-stars, the supporting characters, they, even when they're running a pretty good race, are still never sure where their next job is going to come from or when. So like, it has you questioning a lot. Yeah. So seeing it again, getting to see it reflected in the show, is just kind of like, because when you're in it, you don't really have a lot of time to sit back and think about it or like examine it. You're just in survival mode.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just me. I'll speak for myself. But when you have a chance to kind of see it reflected back to you, you're like, yeah, that is how I feel a lot of times, or that is what I go through a lot of times, or I should really consider that next time I'm in the room, or something like that. So I think I didn't mention it earlier, but in episode 1, when Trev gave Simon the breath trick, I was like, Try that. I
Let me,
think
let
I
me
don't know
try
I
that.
don't know if it really works, but
Yeah.
I kind of want to try it. Like, does it just kind of make your instincts kick in? That'd be nice because
Right.
I am an overthinker. I think the other reason why I resonate so much with this series and the character of Simon is I am that actor that
Yeah.
now I would never do what he did in episode 1.
Right.
I would never go on set and blow that kind of gig. But
Yeah.
but I am the type of person that tends to like, oh, what about this and what about that? And should I be
Yeah.
considering this and making 1,000 notes and doing all these things? And it is hard to get out of your head a lot of times. And you have to kind of remind yourself to be present.
Hmm.
I don't know if that is an overactive brain thing. I don't know. But you do need those people around you to kind of like bring you back to center
Hmm.
and be like, hey, just go in there and you've done your prep, you've done your work, let it go. Anytime I've heard people tell me that, I'm like, you let it go. or or it's like, I don't know how to let it go. Like, what does that mean? I let it
Yeah.
go. And it's because, and I get that with Simon a lot. It's like when it's so important to you, especially when he's going after this Wonder Man role, like this is his dream role. It's something he's always wanted, right?
Right.
When it's that important to you, you're like, I can't just like ease off the gas when I'm this close. Like, I gotta give it my
Right.
everything. Otherwise, I'll constantly
Right.
ask myself, did I do enough? But even when you do everything, you still ask yourself, did I do enough? So it's a
Right.
lose-lose.
And it's a balance. It's like that feedback sounds like someone's telling you to wing it,
Yeah.
but really it's like it's about finding the way to be prepared enough that you can relax and it just be muscle memory and you're not having to like, I'm gonna hit this beat, I'm gonna hit this, I'm gonna hit this. You've just done it enough that you can just do it. And it's like what how do you get there?
It's also trusting yourself. Like one of the things that I have kind of keyed in on that's interesting with Simon's character, with him being super powered, and it's this thing that he's kind of been fearful of, ashamed of, and just buries, and it makes him feel insecure. It doesn't make him feel quite normal.
Yeah.
He's trying to pursue this career where he has to be authentic and able to just open himself up.
Mm-hmm.
But he's afraid to do that because if I do, blah, 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 right? That's all lying underneath the surface. And for me, I kind of get that way a lot of times because like for me, my thing was like being neurodivergent and not really trusting myself because of the way I had to grow up with that, that part of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up in the time that I did where there was much less information about it and how to manage it and all this other stuff, I internalized a lot having to self-manage, and it allowed me to not feel like I could trust my body to do what I needed it to do when the time came, So all that to say, it's like, I think I get that where it's like someone's telling you to let go or trust yourself or be present, and you're like, but the times I've done that, weird things happen, or I say the wrong thing, or I do the wrong thing, or people get mad, or I'm da-da-da, right? So that made me kind of connect in that way where it's like, it is hard when it doesn't feel flippant. You're just like, I don't know how, right? You say that,
right?
And you might as well be telling me like, speak Mandarin, and be like, I don't know how.
Okay.
You can do it. Cool. It's like, I most certainly cannot, it just feels that impossible because you've not had enough experience with feeling free in your own body and trusting your body and trusting yourself because you've suppressed your instincts so much that when someone says, no, you can trust your instincts, it's like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. It's never worked before. So I get him in that way. That's what made me take a lot of self-reflection to think about like, is that my problem with acting? Like, am I having Simon moments where it's like, I think I'm letting go, but I'm not fully letting go, or I don't feel fully confident in myself because I've been giving myself enough leeway to do that? Thoughts to ponder.
Right.
This show is clearly much more like much more internal for me than probably the average viewer, but it's given me a lot to think about.
I was going to say, I did like the little callback to his advice to Simon just before he picks up the phone to take the call from Agent Cleary. He does it. Did you notice that? He does the big
right.
breath.
He does the breath. You're right.
Same thing. So it's like, again, another sign that like he doesn't really want to be helping them. It's just what he has to do. It's a performance too.
Exactly.
Right. All his interactions with the DODC is a performance too. He's playing both sides of it.
It's a tap dance. I think I see it as like him trying to just like give myself a little more time to figure it out. Right. He's giving them just enough to keep them not throwing him in prison, but not so much that
Yes.
he's like ruining this kid's life, right? So,
Yeah.
but he hasn't quite figured out like how the heck are we gonna like clear your name, or how are we gonna get it where you aren't, you know, under surveillance and I don't go back to prison. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I know how to song and dance my way through some difficult situations. So we're just gonna we're gonna
Yeah.
do that until a solution presents itself, right? So, man, I like these two. I just like these two so much. I love Trevor. I love Ben Kingsley. I don't know. I enjoy them. I enjoy them very much so. It's a pair I would have never guessed, but it is a pair I quite appreciate seeing on screen.
Okay, but getting back to the end of episode 2.
Mm,
So they, self tapes don't work. The self tapes don't work.
they don't.
They don't work. Trevor's apartment is too noisy. They storm off on Joey Pants. They get back to Simon's. They do the thing, and then Simon steps out of the room, asks if Trevor wants some pizza. Trevor pulls the sheet off of the wall, finds the damage on the wall, and then he gets caught. Right? Simon comes back into the room. And Trevor's like, they're both looking at each other like, are we going to address this? And then Trevor's like, pepperoni sounds great, right? I mean, I guess he doesn't want to deal with it, but he is already so nervous.
Yeah.
Before we even learn as an audience what the doorman clause is,
Yeah.
he is already so obviously so nervous about people knowing about this.
Uh-huh.
And he overthinks everything, and he over-explains things in other contexts. I was very surprised that he was satisfied with like Trevor's very easy dismissal of this hole in the wall. That Trevor was just like, "Hey, pepperoni is good, and I'm not going to talk about what I just saw." And he's like, "Okay, if you're not talking about it, I'm not talking about it." And I was like, "That's strange. That's strange that he didn't even in that moment just try to make up a excuse."
I do agree. I was expecting Trevor to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I sat down on your couch, and then the thing came down, and I don't know what's going on."
Yeah, that's true. Not an excuse from Trevor either. I was thinking that I was surprised Simon didn't try to make an excuse.
Well, that too.
But either one of them, right? Like, why are you pulling this thing off my wall? Mm-hmm. He didn't have an explanation for that. He didn't have an explanation for what was on the wall.
No one tried to explain it.
Yeah, it was very strange.
That part was weird because I was expecting Simon to either like take off or, like you said, or come up with an excuse. So like, oh man, I was trying to get some remodeling done. The contractors left me high and dry, and I've got this wall.
Right. I love HGTV, but you really can't do some of that stuff.
Right. Or, oh, my girlfriend, when she left, she started wrecking shop in here, and
right.
And now I got this hole in the wall. Yeah. So yeah, neither of them having anything to say, just kind of ignoring the literal like giant elephant in the room. Yeah, that was a weird moment. I thought somebody was and there must be a reason why they played it that way, because I would think like instinctually, the instincts seem pretty right in most of the writing and the directing of the scenes throughout these episodes. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, is it one of those things where it's like, I know you know, and I know you know I know, but we'll just agree to know and not talk, like, right, I don't know.
Yeah, or is it supposed to be a sign that Simon already, just like another sign, I guess, that Simon already has a big level of trust in him?
Yeah, it has to be something like that, because like you said, it's not a normal interaction. I just don't know what it's supposed to be indicating per se,
right?
Or maybe that Simon's like, I don't want to have to lose this person, so I'm just, if you don't say anything, I won't say anything. I don't know.
Yeah, that's funny. I have a note about a future episode that made me think like, dang, Simon really doesn't have any friends because he really is willing to do XYZ with Trevor. But this is another one. This is another point right there. It's like, maybe he's just like,
I got nobody. I need somebody.
Who else am I about to have pizza with? You know what I mean? Yeah, I have nobody. Let me not run this man off.
Yeah. Or give him a reason to freak out.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Because wasn't this the episode where they were riffing with each other on like different play, like lines from plays? And wasn't that this episode right before they did the self-tape that they were kind of sitting down and Trev did a Shakespeare line and then Simon did a line from some play? Like, yeah. So all this to say, like, I feel like after that moment, it's like these are two people that could explain away or whatever, but maybe it's the reverse where it's like, you're not gonna say anything? Well, I'm not gonna say anything. Well, I'm not gonna say anything if you're not gonna say anything. I feel like both of them, if they wanted to bring that to the forefront or make it a thing, either of them would have been prepared to like defend or, you know, or riff. But I think it was maybe like,
right,
maybe we just don't. I don't know.
right.
Yeah. So now we've got this big hole in the wall and nobody's talking about it. And we're going to eat pizza, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. I got worried for a second that when Trev had the ring on his laptop, that it activated a camera and that camera was going to see the big hole in the wall.
Oh.
That's what I got nervous about, that maybe he pulled it down to be like...
Because it was facing that way, yeah.
And when it... Well, we'll get to it next episode, but that was my concern at the end of the episode. I was like, oh they probably got it on. They hacked his camera and now they can see. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, that's the end of that episode. So those are our first two.
Woo!
We have a lot to say, and we'll have a lot more to say. I cannot wait till we talk about episode 4.
Yes, episode 4 is
honestly 3 and 4
good.
are both good blocks. And I'll have a lot to say then too. Get ready, guys, to hear a lot of an actor's lament. This is what this podcast series is going to be.
Yeah, I was this whole time watching this, I was like, this is deep. This is going to be deeply personal to Rodnesha, and I'm so glad we're doing this. So, I do think that is something, that's feedback that I've seen about the podcast, is like how it's interesting to have that actor's point of view. So when I started watching this, I was like, oh, this is perfect.
You're going to hear a lot from me, so hope you love it, because it's coming whether you do or you don't. Well, guys, thank you for journeying with us through these first 2 episodes of Wonder Man. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your listens. Please continue to follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, Lemonade, YouTube at the UUR Pod. That is where you can find us on all the social channels. You can also email us at theuurpod@gmail.com if you want to send us any side information about Wonder Man the comic or insight that we maybe missed about Wonder Man the series. Otherwise, if you feel inclined to do so, you can also become a patron, patreon.com/theuurpod. Are you noticing a theme? It's pretty much all the UUR Pod. So if you're looking for us, you'll find us. You can join the Severed Floor membership tier, and that's where you can find these extended cut episodes and early access to bonus content when we have it. Outside of that, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you are listening to your podcast. Please do so. It will help the visibility of the channel, help us get seen by other people, help other people who are fans of these same properties that we were talking about find another set of voices to weigh in on those things. We heard from some folks today on Blue Sky that were talking about just liking to hear what we have to say about things. And so the more, the merrier is what I say. That's it.
Anyway, this has been the UUR, and remember, it's not enough to make a living. You gotta make a killing.
Joy pants.